All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Maxine Nebro. I work over at tutor.com, and I'm super excited to be able to present this training in partnership with SC Discus to talk about how you can utilize tutor.com's job help support. So basically covering all the different resources that we have available, both available within tutor.com and through different webinars and events that we host on Zoom or on YouTube. And yeah, we can go ahead and get started. Just one thing before that, I am going to drop in the chat a survey monkey. This is from the Discus team. Um, if you have the chance to fill that out, please do so. It will also be included in the follow-up, and it just provides some feedback on the different trainings that we're doing to make sure that they're what you're looking for and meeting the standards that you'd like. But now we can go ahead and get started. The first thing that we have to talk about is actually accessing tutor.com. Luckily, if you go to scdiscus.org, as you can see right up here, we are a featured resource, which makes it incredibly easy for you to access the program. Now, all you do is click accesstutor.com, and then that will bring you over to a web page like this. Now, this is our main tutor.com page. We have an option for a take a tour, which will just give you a quick highlight as to all the different resources that we have available. But today we're going to keep it pretty simple and talk about just the career related resources. So the first one to talk about is connecting with a tutor now. This is where you're going to be able to connect with a live tutor 24/7 in a wide range of topics. As you can see here, the dropdown is rather large. We have those core subjects, math, science, social studies, writing, etc. Even some college related stuff like computer sciences, business, and nursing and healthcare. But today we're going to be talking about job help. Once you choose the topic job help, then choose the subject that you need help in. And we have tutors available for all of these following topics: finding a job, applying for a job online, writing a cover letter or a resume, preparing for an interview, as well as unemployment assistance. So, to kind of go over what you can expect if you had one of these sessions, finding a job would just be talking about the different web boards that you can check, like Indeed, to find different jobs that might be a fit for you and kind of walking through that process, the filtering process, and what that looks like. Applying for a job online will connect you to one of our career specialists, and you can talk about what information you're generally going to need when applying to a job online, whether that is personal information. And again, we are not asking for that information, we're just letting them know what kind of documents they might need on their end, as well as kind of going over that general process. Writing a cover letter and a resume is fairly simple and self-explanatory. This is where you would connect with one of our career specialists to go over your resume or cover letter or create one from scratch that you can then use when applying online. Preparing for an interview is one of my favorites. This can be really helpful because the interview process can be incredibly stressful for a lot of folks. And here you'll be able to connect with a tutor, talk to them, and kind of go through a mock interview. So you'll be able to be asked questions that you can then prepare answers for, kind of go over what the most typical questions are, things of that nature. And then unemployment assistance. This is very similar to applying for a job online, where we just tell you kind of what documents and what informations you might need when going through that entire process and kind of what to expect as you go step by step through that process. Now, let's say I needed help with writing a resume. I could choose writing a resume. I can then type out my question, and this can be something as simple as, hey, I need help writing my resume. Or it could be very specific, saying, I'm applying to X, Y, and Z job. I need to tailor my resume to fit the bullet points that they're asking about. And this just provides our tutors with some more information so that they can kind of hop into that session and get started right away. And then you attach a file. So this, in most cases, is going to be your resume or your cover letter if you have that handy. And one thing to keep in mind is we do ask that you remove all identifying information from that. So it will just be the content of the resume. And then you hit connect now. And then within about a minute or so, you will be brought over to our brand new classroom. Now, typically, when I'm doing a normal training, I'll talk about how the whiteboard is fully interactive with the tutor, how you can speak back and forth if you have a voice session and whatnot. But today we're going to be talking specifically about, or specifically in the content or concept of a career session. So typically the way that would work is if you submitted the document in that pre-session survey, the tutor will be able to download that, share their screen, and you can work on it that way. We do have a word processor. So if you're working on a cover letter, for example, something that doesn't need to be very format specific, you can drop that in here and work on that live. And this is kind of like a Google Drive or a Google Docs within the classroom. So it's fully collaborative. Whatever it is that you write, the tutor is able to see, and the tutor is also able to write and edit the cover letter. But one of the things that we've added recently is the ability for a patron to share their own screen. This is really helpful again when it comes to resumes. Now they don't have to worry about submitting a document to the tutor and having the tutor then reshare that at the end of the session. Everything can happen on their own machine and on their own document. So this is going to be again really helpful for those format specific things like resumes, where bullet points or specific kind of formatting within Word documents is needed. This can make that process a little bit easier. Next that I want to highlight is over here. This allows you to connect via audio, so you'll be able to talk back and forth with your tutor. And again, this is going to be really helpful, especially when we're talking about that preparing for an interview, because now you'll be able to go through that entire mock interview or like practice, but actually speak back and forth with the tutor. So again, this is going to be really helpful in those situations, as well as for more complicated resumes where maybe you have a lot of work experience, but it needs a lot of tailoring to go for that specific job that you're looking at. This is going to be incredibly helpful. Now, if you want to have a chat only session, or if you haven't created an account, because you do need to create an account in order to access in order to access the voice tutoring, you can then type back and forth in here and kind of go through that entire tutoring process that way, just typing back and forth. And then once you're done with that session, you would just hit end session over here. And there is going to be a post-session survey, just kind of providing us with some feedback. But also there is going to be the option to email a transcript of your session. This is going to be really helpful again for people who decided that they don't want to have an account or they didn't want to create an account at that point in time, but they did want to have a record of the session that they went over, kind of the specific interview questions that they talked about, or maybe resume tips that they discussed. You can then email yourself that transcript and you'll have access to the entire chat log. You'll have access to screenshots of the whiteboard or word processor and anything that you are working on in there. And you'll also be able to basically replay the entire tutoring session live. So as you can see down here at the bottom, there is a little time bar. You'll be able to manipulate that, go back in time, and review things as they happened again live. That is typically useful for more kind of core subjects like math, science, social studies. But again, it can be really helpful here, especially if you're going through the process of screen recording and you want to see how your tutor manipulated the data or the information in a specific way when it comes to formatting. Now, I did want to highlight that right now what you're seeing is me accessing as a guest. So I can have access to live tutoring as a guest. I don't need to create an account. As I mentioned, you do not get access to the voice tutoring if you don't create an account. But again, you do get access to live tutoring. The next thing that I want to highlight, though, you will need to create an account for. And as you can see, everything over here has been kind of grayed out, and that's because you need an account to access. You just click create an account up top here, and you fill out the information. I just want to highlight date of birth. This is important because we are COPA compliant. So if you're working with any patrons or students and they are trying to create an account, make sure that they're putting the correct date of birth, because if they put anything that shows they are 13 years or younger, they will have a restricted account. So again, if you're working with like college students, for example, who sometimes just blitz through this process and will choose a random date of birth, make sure that they're doing that correctly so that they have access to all of the different resources. Now, I already have an account set up, so I'm going to sign in and hope that I did this correctly and remembered my account. Perfect. And as you can see, this top navigation bar is now bolded, which means I have access to all of the other resources that I'm going to show you. The next main resource that I'm going to show off is under the Submit a Paper for Review. This is a bit of a misnomer. When you click this, and you decide what kind of help you need, you can actually go to Job Help, Resume, and Cover Letter Drop Off Review. So now I'll be able to upload my resume or cover letter, submit it to one of our career specialists. They'll be able to go through that resume, provide feedback, and then return that to me. So again, that process is very simple. You just fill out the information, what you need help in, let's say a resume, who you are, and this is important because uh, a recent graduate's resume or cover letter is going to be drastically different from someone who is a career changer with 20 years of experience. And even that is going to be very different than someone who is returned to the workforce after 10 years of being a stay-at-home parent. So again, this is important just to provide our tutors with a little bit more context as to your previous experience and kind of go your process going into applying for a job. Then you copy and paste the job posting and announcement that you're going for. And this provides our tutors, again, with some more information as to how to format your resume, what bullet points should be where, what keywords should be included. So again, it's very important to do that. However, if you're just looking to revamp your resume, you don't have to worry about finding a job posting or announcement to include here. You can just let the tutor saying, hey, I wanted to revamp or redo my resume. Can you help me with this? And the tutor is going to be able to take that information and go through it and provide that feedback. And again, within about 12 hours, you will get that edited version of your resume or cover letter returned to you. The next thing that I wanted to highlight is under Connect with a Tutor Now. So back to this page, one, as you can see, when I created an account, I have the ability to decide having a chat only session or a chat and voice session. So this is where it would be really helpful, again, for those interview type sessions. But if we scroll down to the Skills Center Resource Library, this is where we link out to basically hundreds of different resources across the web that we've found and think might be helpful to you. So for example, we can go to Career Resources, choose adult services. Here we have a lot of different resources available to you, but let's go ahead and do resume and cover letters. And then you can do resume writing guides, sample resumes, cover letters. Let's go sample resumes. And as you can see, we're going to link out to dozens of different websites, videos that we think might be helpful to you. So you can go to resume.com and this will link directly to their templates, a college resume sample, as well as some previous webinars that we've done in the past. Similarly, if we go to cover letter, we'll find different resources about cover letters. So articles and websites that go over what is needed in a cover letter and how to best construct one. And again, this is really helpful for people who maybe don't want to connect with a live tutor, but they do still want to get some help on these topics. Now going back here, The next thing that I'm going to show off is actually not within the tutor.com platform itself, but is still provided by tutor.com. And you do still have access to this. Your patrons have access to these. And we do run these fairly regularly throughout the year. So that is basically our webinars. So if we go here, and let me just go back to our tutor.com YouTube page, which is very easy to find. You can just Google search tutor.com YouTube, and that will bring you right here. And then if you go to playlists, you'll see all of the different playlists that we have available. So we have a ton of different content here. We have webinars for students and parents, which, just to give you a quick idea, we are currently running a student success webinar series right now. But you have access to all of these previous webinars that we've done. We also have our college readiness and management for working adults. So this is really great for your adult patrons who are maybe thinking about going back to school, but maybe have questions about how to navigate the college experience, how to navigate life during college, or even decide to go to college or not. This can be also really helpful. But the main one that I want to talk about is webinars for job seekers. Now, over the past 3 years, we've been consistently doing webinars on the kind of career landscape, you can say. So, going over the entire process of career transitions, what to do if you were unemployed, and how to kind of adjust your applications to make it so that that is not necessarily a detriment to you, things about how to apply online and succeed in an interview, especially virtual interviews, which are still very popular nowadays. But even as recently as 6 and 7 months ago, we did have our most recent career series that you can kind of go through and recommend and share with patrons. And again, these are fully in depth, talking about the different ways to format your resume and cover letter, how to pick out different keywords from applications, how to organize your thoughts when it comes to an interview, what questions to be prepared for, and what questions people usually ask to trip you up. All of that information can be found here. And one of the cool things is we actually had a while back a Q&A session that lasted incredibly long, where people just hopped in and asked their own very specific questions about their own experiences with the kind of application process, resumes, cover letters, interviews, and things that they struggled with to get some advice. So this is going to be really helpful and a really nice tool as you're doing kind of outreach to anybody who is preparing for this type of professional journey. Now, those are all of the main resources that are available at tutor.com. Now, if you have any questions about some of the resources that I talked about, or a specific use case scenario that maybe you or a patron has run into in the past, please feel free to let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer those. There is a question box attached to your control panel that we can go through. And while those questions do come in, I did just want to highlight that when creating an account, you also get some account features that are really, really helpful. So the first one is My Sessions. Basically, every single session that you have will automatically be saved. So you don't have to worry about emailing yourself a transcript, but you can always review them at a future point in time. So again, let's say, and I just had a session with one of our tutors on the interview process. Uh, I can review that in 3 months when I have another interview popping up, just to make sure that am fully prepared for that experience. Or, if again, I'm working on a resume 2 months ago and I need to quickly update that, but wanted to learn a little bit more or kind of get a refresher on how to do so, I can view that previous session. We also have favorite tutors. So if you or a patron finds a career specialist that they really like, they provided really great feedback, and you had some good success with them in the past, you can favorite them, and then you'll be able to see when they're available to work with again in the future. So again, this is going to be really great for people who maybe want a little bit more consistency. Maybe they want to keep practicing interviews with the same person. They can do that through this feature. And then lastly is My Locker. And this is essentially where any documents that you upload to the classroom get saved. So kind of like a Google Drive of tutor.com, and you'll be able to access these from anywhere. So let's say I uploaded something or had a session while at the local library. I can then go home and still access those documents that I uploaded to the classroom. So that again is going to be incredibly helpful just to help patrons keep track of everything. But that is just about it. Now, it doesn't look like we have any questions coming in at the moment. I will leave the floor open for another minute or so, but I did just want to again drop into the chat a survey monkey. This was provided by the Discus team. It just provides some information on how you felt this training and webinar was, if you thought it was helpful, as well as provide you the opportunity to ask for different types of trainings in the future. So please do feel free to fill that out, and it will also be included in that follow-up email that will be sent out in the couple of days. But yeah, I will leave the floor open for a just a little bit longer if there are any questions. If not, feel free to reach out afterwards. You can respond to that follow-up email with any questions, and I'd be happy to answer. All right, it doesn't look like any questions have come in. So again, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day and you found some of this information helpful. All right, thanks so much.